Oh, sorry. So I have to start from the beginning. Okay. So we have 6 slides in Maya and 6 slides in Arnold. Among these 6 slides in Maya, we start with the ambient. So this is the shape of ambient light. So we have three transform properties. That is, we can move any object, we can rotate, and we can scale. So let's see which transform property affects the light. Okay. For that, we should have some 3D model. So now we have a simple measures here and a ambient light. So outliner will show you what all the objects we have in the viewport. If you want to see the light objects alone, you can select the light option. For that, you have to go to show object and you have to enable light so that it will show the number of lights we have in the viewport. So go to object and clear below. Then you will see all the objects. So to see the impact of light or to see the result of this light, you have to enable this option, this light symbol, so that you will see the impact of light. I'm just deleting this ambient light. Now there is no light, so we get this darker output. Let's create an ambient light. So the difference is it flattens the whole image. Mostly ambient light is used to give an ambience effect. Ambience effect is to understand the ambient effect, we can take the example from our day-to-day life. So even if a room is too dark, doesn't have any lights, even though it doesn't have any lights, we will have some illumination there. We will have some details there. We can able to see some details. That's because of the light comes from the atmosphere or the ambient. So for that we have to uh, for that effect we have to use this ambient light in Maya. But as of now, we are going to take render in Arnold renderer. We can't use this ambient light for the project. But the reason why I'm explaining this Maya lighting is to know the basics. Because previously we had mental ray and V-ray renderers like Arnold. So in those render engine, this ambient light got supported. Okay, let's continue. So that's all about ambient light. It's a 360-degree light. It is not affected by the movement, rotation, or even scaling. Okay. When I move, the result is same, or rotate, the result is same. When scaling, won't affect the result. The next one is directional light. So directional light, this is how it looks like. This arrow indicates the direction of light. So we can use this like a sunlight. Okay. So this light will be affected only by the rotation. Okay. So scaling won't affect the exposure or the intensity. You can keep it anywhere in this scene. So it gives the same result. The next one is point light. So point light is also a 360-degree light. We can use it for any torch kind of objects like candle and all. Even in Arnold light, we have this mesh light. which you can use for torch and candles. So I'm comparing these two lights so that you can understand in what way you can replace the Maya light with Arnold lights. Okay. So this point light will be affected by the position. Wherever you keeps it gives the illumination in that particular area. At some point, it will the intensity will be reduced. Okay. So it is there is no change in if you change the rotation there won't be any change when in scaling. So it only responds for position. So wherever you keep it, it will give the intensity there. So in some projects, if you want to take a quick render, you can use this Maya lightings. It is very light in weight, so it won't take much render time. In that way, you can use these Maya lights. So if you have a very big project and you want photorealistic output, then you can use this Arnold light. For your exam, you have to use this Arnold light. Okay, so it's a professional lighting. You will get a very professional output. So the next light is spotlight. It's very important, very useful and very frequently used light. So it has lot of advantages, lot of options. So the name itself explains it gives the light to a particular spot. So this is the shape of this light. It looks like a cone. This arrow indicates the direction of light. So it responds or it reacts for position, rotation, but won't respond for the scaling. Even though the light is very bigger, there won't be any change in intensity or the area it covers. So many of you make a mistake like you plan to have this light for a light source. Sometimes you plan to use this for a ceiling light. In that case, many of you merge this center point inside a mesh. If you, for example, if you consider this mesh as a light bulb, I mean, consider this as a light bulb. So many of you will are placing your light like this. Okay, it has to be outside. So if you keep inside, then it will illuminate inside only. Okay, and to position this light, we have an additional option called look through. Okay, so you can use this look through option to position this light. So now once you select that look through option, this light acts like a camera. So you are looking through this light. In that way you can position it. So if you feel we have a window here, then you can navigate using your normal navigation button, that is alt and your mouse buttons. So if you want to light in this corner, to come out of this option, you have to select perspective and come to perspective camera. So all the changes we have to do with the perspective camera. In the bottom, you can see this camera name. Okay, for your lighting exam, you have to create a camera. So most of you know how to create a camera. You have to create whatever object you want to create, whether it is a nerve surface or any polygonal object or light or camera. You have to go to camera, I mean create menu, there select camera and select this camera option. Now you got a camera here. So this is how it looks like. So now still we are in perspective camera. So these four cameras are the default camera, comes along with Maya fresh file. So it is perspective, top, front and side. So other than that, we have created this camera one. You can rename it render cam angle one. Okay. So if you name it properly, then you can access it easily in your render view. Okay. So in render view, you right click over this render button so that you will have the list of cameras you have in your scene. Here you can select render camera angle one. Now you have to set the angle. To set the angle for camera one, you have to look through the camera, then go to perspective, panel and perspective, select the camera you want to set. So now you are looking through render camera angle one. So here we have an option called resolution gate. We have to enable it so that we will have the boundary which comes in the render. So using the normal navigation, that is holding the alt button and then using your all three keys in your mouse, you can fix the angle. Okay, once you feel it's okay, you can select the camera here with this button, and then the next button is lock camera. You have to lock the camera because by mistake you used to change the angle. So to avoid that mistake, you have to lock the camera, then come back to your perspective camera to make changes or to add more lights panel, look through. So this spotlight have a lot of applications and lot of uses. Let's have a render here. Right click render camera angle one. So there is no object here because there is no exposure value for this spotlight. So to increase the intensity, you have to go under this Arnold tab, then under exposure value, give some higher value like 20. Then hit the render button, then you will get an output. So you can reduce it to 18. Okay. So here we have render view for Arnold also. You can use this render view also. To access the render view, you have to go to Arnold self and then select this Arnold render view. And here you have two buttons. One is play button. If you hit this play button, it will update the scene instantly. See, I am changing the angle here. You can see the output instantly. I am changing the value here 5, 15. I can change the angle of the light. So only problem we have is the system has to be faster. So this continuous rendering will take more RAM space. So it will slow down your process. So you can use it in rare case, or if you have a better system, you can use this option. So stop the continuous render. And if you want to refresh the render, or if you made any change like this, I change the angle of the light and I want to know the changes in the output, then hit this refresh button. Okay. So come back to lighting. In this spotlight, we have two options called cone angle and penumbra angle. You can adjust the value, you can know the changes. So cone angle will increase the diameter of the outer edge. So the area covered by the light will be increased, and the penumbra angle will soften the. Let's change the value of penumbra angle and see the change here. So it soften the edges. Okay. Okay, in the viewport itself, you can see the effect of this penumbra angle and cone angle. And another value is called drop off. So it will decide how far the light has to fall. So here in Arnold tab, we have an option called samples. The samples will define the grain value in your render. So if you increase the samples, you will get lesser grains and very smooth output. In the same time, it will increase the render time. Okay. So you can give some minimal value. Sorry. Yeah, in the edges la light or edges la pixel கம்மியாகும். So இது வந்து shadow pixels. Okay. So so these are the basic options in Spotlight. We will see the fog lighting after this ambient light. Okay. Or else. Okay, let's continue with Spotlight itself. Okay. Okay, so let's see how to create the fog light or god rays and all. To enable the fog, to enable the fog, you have to go to render setting. Okay, go to Arnold render. Here we have this environment. Under this atmosphere option, right click this checker. Sorry, click on this checker and select create AI atmosphere volume. Okay, so once you assign this option, you will get this icon. So if you click this icon, you will get the settings of this atmospheric volume. Here you have to set the density, otherwise you won't get any change in the scene. See, still it's same. Let's change the density and see the change in output. Okay, now the fog is in full value. So the value 1 is maximum. So let's give 0.01 and render. Let's reduce it furthermore, 0.001. Okay, now we get this fog effect. So to add more details to the fog, we have to assign a filter to this light. Okay, if you want to assign a filter to this light, then you have to select the light and go to the attributes of this light. So under this spotlight shape, so here you have any of this tab, so you can switch over and you can find the settings here. So under Arnold, you will see this light filter. Click on add, then select this first option, GOBO, GO, BO. So this is the light filter we use to add some details to the fog. Okay, now double click on this AI GOBO 1 so that you will get the attributes of that AI GOBO 1. Here under this slide map, you can assign any maps. So a lot of files we have, we call it as map in Maya. So we can assign any image using this file map. You can assign this noise or grid. So for understanding purpose, we first apply this grid. It's a simple map. It has some lines here. So let's see the change in output. Let's save this output and refresh the render. So whatever we have here in black and white value, it will reflect the result. Okay, this fog responds to the black and white details that we have in this map. To change this map, you have to click any of this button so that it come back to the AI Gobo. Here, right click on the slide map to clear this grid. So now we remove this grid again, it come back to normal. Now we try some other map like noise. So here we have lot of mixed black to white values. So let's see how it affects the fog. Okay, let's reduce the intensity of the light so that you can see the details whatever we have in this noise. So whatever black and white value we have here, we will get it in the render. The fog also react to that black and white value. In this way we can get this god rays And to go back, you have to click this icon. So you can assign any color. Okay. Any doubts in fog? Okay. To increase the density. To increase the density, we assign the environment. I mean, we assign the atmospheric volume map in render setting. So again, you have to go to render setting. Under this unroll render tab, you will have this environment. So here still we have this atmospheric volume. So here we have this black key. So if you click that key, you will see the density here. You can increase it to any value. So the maximum value is 1. So you have to adjust the value so that you will get the details here. So I just increased from 001 to 005. So now we are getting a stronger fog here. Okay. So some of you making a mistake, like you keep on click on this checker and add this create a atmospheric volume. See, at first we have these 3 options only. Now we are having some 6 options because we already created an atmospheric volume here. So we got an option to disconnect and delete. So if you click on create a atmospheric volume, then it will add another atmospheric volume here. So you will have atmospheric volume 1 and it keep on adds. Okay. To delete this atmospheric volume, or if you want to remove this fog completely, then you have to right click on this option, break connection, so that the fog will be removed here. But in the render, we have this light effects, and still we have the AI volumes here. Even though we removed, it is still in the scene. That's why you are having this AI atmospheric volume 1 and AI atmospheric volume. So to remove these two, you have to go to hypershade. Sorry, this icon is called hypershade, which we use for texturing. So all the shader values will be here only. So here you can see the AI atmosphere volume. So here you select these two, you can delete. Hypershade is used to assign, or it deals with the shaders. Shaders is nothing but the material, or in other words you can say it is the skin of your model. So sorry, it shows the material. See, we are having a cube here. If you consider it as a wooden cube, then you have to assign a material for that wood texture. So you right click on this option and go to assign new material, then you will assign a blend. Okay, these all are the shaders, or in other words we can say material. So all these shaders, okay, see here in outliner you are having the list of objects. So in same way in hypershade you will have the list of shaders. Okay, so by default all the objects you create, see I am just creating a sphere here, still you have a gray texture here. That's because of the shader that applied by default. The default shader is Lambert one. To know that one, you just right click and see the material attributes. Here Lambert one, I select this cube, go to material attributes, still Lambert one. I select this plane, go to material attributes, still Lambert one. So whatever objects you create by default, it will have a material. Okay. So once you finish the modeling, then you can change the material. So all the list of material will be available in hypershade. So you can link any textures, or you can assign, or you can create any textures here. You can mix two or three textures. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Go to break.